Well, it happened. The House voted on the Epstein files to be released. It passed. It went to the Senate. It passed unanimously and is now heading to Donald Trump's desk. There's only one problem. I'm going to bring that up to you in just a moment, where Pam Bondi kind of gave the game away. And I'm not sure where we're going to see all of these files. More on that in a moment. But MAGA's freaking out. I got Nick Fuentes freaking out. We got Tucker Carlson freaking out. We have Don Jr. kind of exposing Donald Trump. And we have this old queen herself, MAGA Mike Johnson, just beside himself that the Senate would just go on and pass this thing so quickly. Donald Trump himself said, I don't care when the Senate passes the House bill, whether tonight or at some other time in the near future. I just don't want Republicans to take their eyes off of all the great victories that we've had, including all of these lies, he says here. But someone said it sounds like a farewell speech. I do think Donald Trump is just totally falling apart. Here's MAGA Mike Johnson, this old Louisiana queen, freaking out that the Senate did what it wasn't supposed to do, which is pass this bill unanimously.
Any reaction to Leader Thune seeing the bill without adding amendments or changing it?
I'm deeply disappointed in this outcome. I think I've been at the state dinner. I don't know. I was just told that Chuck Schumer rushed it to the floor and put it out there preemptively. It needed amendments. I just spoke to the president about that. We'll see what happens.
So do you think he may veto it? You say you spoke to the president?
I'm not saying that.
Is he supportive of it in its current form?
We both have concerns about it, so we'll see. I was standing there with the Crown Prince. We couldn't call him.
Are you frustrated in the majority leader?
Baby, it's a great time in America. It's a great time in America. I love it. How are you feeling? I'm feeling good today. Between the landslide last week and this stuff happening now, I hate that it's around this really sick issue, but it is enjoyable to see Republicans tear themselves apart. And baby, they're tearing themselves apart. Nick Fuentes, who I'm not a fan of, but I'll tell you what, this man is cunning. Is a smart individual. And he's kind of entertaining. But here's what he said about Mike Johnson and the Epstein files.
They want to keep some files hidden. Why? Mike Johnson says, quote, to make sure we don't do permanent damage to the political system. What would be permanently damaging to the political system about releasing all the files? See, they're giving the game away here. And what they're telling us is that at the highest levels, probably people on both sides are implicated in the disclosure. That Jeffrey Epstein, running a sex trafficking blackmail ring, that's what it is. He worked with fashion and modeling agencies to recruit young girls, in particular underage girls.
All right, we don't really need to go into the background of all this, but yeah, Mike Johnson and what I'm going to show you is Pam Bondi are basically saying out loud that they're going to do what they can to protect powerful people, which is the whole antithesis of what this law is supposed to be doing. So I'm glad that someone like Nick Fuentes, who on the far right, is calling this out for what it is. I'm someone who's on the far left calling this out as well, saying that we just want powerful people to be held accountable. That's what this is all about, really, at the end of the day. Pam Bondi essentially implied here that the full and unredacted files are not going to be released.
Off topic.
On the Epstein files, does the new investigation by the Southern District of New York U.S. Attorney prevent the department from releasing all of the remaining files?
So we have released over 33,000 Epstein documents to the Hill, and we'll continue to follow the law and to have maximum transparency. Also, we will always encourage all victims to come forward.
Now, here is why that statement is troubling. The Epstein bill grants Pam Bondi the authority to withhold or redact any material that could endanger, quote, national security or, quote, jeopardize an active federal investigation. So it's at her discretion to decide what does and doesn't get released, what we can and can't see. And do you think that Pam Bondi is going to release something that makes Donald Trump look bad? Do you think Pam Bondi is going to release something that makes one of Donald Trump's besties look bad? Of course not. So we're not going to see the real files. We're not going to. Now, Thomas Massie has said that he is going to, if these files are not released properly, he is going to go on the House floor and start to name the list, or start to name the clients of Jeffrey Epstein. And I think it's going to get to that point. Now, we also have Tucker Carlson, who is also throwing down the gauntlet on this. This is not a good issue for Donald Trump.
But how can you say that thousands of children were raped, but I'm not going to find out who raped them?
Yeah.
How can you say that?
I agree completely.
They said that. By the way, when Pam Bondi went on television and said, I have a videotape of kids getting abused, I followed this case closely, and I know a lot of the people involved, as I've told you.
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea. I didn't know that. Really? Thousands of children got raped?
Yeah.
Who raped them? Where are the rapists? Like, why aren't they in jail? What? This is the
life.
Department of Justice.
Yes.
That is so crazy. This is honestly one of the craziest things I've ever seen in my entire life. And I just think it's very dangerous to play around with this stuff. Like, very dangerous.
Well,
I don't want a revolution, but if you wanted a revolution, this is how you.
Yeah, I mean, Pam Bondi truly is doing the dirty work of the pedophiles, Donald Trump, and the elites. She will be the fall person in all this. That's how this is getting set up. Write it down now. Write it down now. What is going to happen is that Donald Trump is going to fire her over this. Guarantee it. Write it down now. MAGA is going to get mad at her for not giving everything over. She's being set up as the fall person. She's stupid to even realize it. Now, Lawrence O'Donnell blew this thing wide open with what happened with Thune and Johnson. And I thought this was fascinating.
Donald Trump's dictatorial power over Congress will not continue. Today, Donald Trump is the biggest loser in presidential history on legislation passed by both the House and the Senate that is a direct rebuke of the president. No president has ever suffered a personal rebuke on legislation anywhere close to the enormity of what Donald Trump suffered today. Mike Johnson spent the year doing Donald Trump's dirty work in the House of Representatives by blocking any chance for a vote on releasing the Epstein files. And then when the vote was forced upon him, Mike Johnson completely surrendered. And then Mike Johnson was doubly humiliated in his surrender today after he said this.
I called my counterpart in the Senate, Leader Thune, and I talked him through this with him and shared our deep concerns. And of course, they share those concerns as well. And so I'm very confident that when this moves forward in the process, if and when it is processed in the Senate, which there's no certainty that that will be, that they will take the time methodically to do what we have not been allowed to do in the House, to amend this discharge petition.
He was guaranteed by Republican Senate Majority Leader John Thune that the Senate would amend the bill passed by the House and include the kind of changes Mike Johnson insisted were necessary. He actually said, I called my counterpart in the Senate, Leader Thune, and I talked through this with him and shared our deep concerns. When I heard that, I thought, well, for sure, the Senate is going to have to add amendments or try to add amendments. And now I know someone is lying. Either Mike Johnson is lying about that phone call, or John Thune lied to Mike Johnson on that phone call, because John Thune had no intention of offering amendments to the House bill. And now we have all the evidence we could possibly ask for that John Thune was the person who convinced Donald Trump that it was all over. And that is when Donald Trump put out his tweet saying that Republicans in the House should vote to release the Epstein files. He only would have done that if Donald Trump knew there was absolutely no hope that the United States Senate could stop this vote. And today, the Senate vote was unanimous. It included every Republican.
It is starting to slip away from Trump. And I know we've been here many times before. So I'm not saying that it couldn't come back, but this time does feel different. And we actually have people who were supportive of Trump calling for his impeachment.
Apologize for doing so. It was a bad calculation. At the time, it seemed like the right one. But he should be impeached and removed for this one, and not on some not on some ridiculous Nancy Pelosi. Of course, the Congress will never do it because they're all a bunch of corrupt hacks.
This is the one thing they support. This is
Donald Trump should be impeached and removed for this. All of his supporters should turn on him.
So I don't know where this all heads. But I don't think it's going anywhere good. And when the only person you have defending you sounds like this, I don't think you're in a good spot.
Epstein hated Trump because he threw him out of Mar-a-Lago. Epstein hated Trump because he knew there was something shady going on, but this was like 30 years ago. He didn't know it was young girls. He just knew he was a creep. Epstein hated Trump because Trump beat him in a real estate deal. So Epstein was doing everything he could to try to take down Trump. So if he had anything real, it would have come out.
Okay, sure. Then why not just release the files? Why not just release them? Always comes back to that. Always comes back to that. Just release the files then. But you're not going to. Why? Because your goddamn dad was involved more than he would ever want to admit. And we're going to find out one way or another. We're going to find out. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please hit like. If you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing, and I'll see you soon. Bye.